But I jump on to Amit again. Amit, looking at NFTs, we've seen insane growth of artists, creators moving into Web3, and we've just come across an NFT bubble. What is your take on NFTs, and where do you see Web3 moving from? Okay, maybe talk about Web3 and metaverse a little bit. How are you looking at these things?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So I think lovely like discussions. I think love the concept of economics and coding kind of coming together, and how Vikram described it as dialects becoming and specific moments being more valuable than the entire thing. So like just building on top, I think another thing which NFTs are very important in, what happens for example in iTunes, when a creator releases a song, there are so many creators who release a song, they don't get paid for like 3 months, 6 months, even years, and that too, for each download they get 99 cents, of which Apple takes like 30 cents, so they get like 70 cents. So and the payment also is happening after they hit a threshold and stuff. So it's the creators are not kind of making money. The people who are actually creating are not making money. So one of the other things that NFTs unleash is, as a creator, you can actually directly release kind of your songs as an NFT, the memorabilia. So like for example, the script which you were writing at that time, or the guitar which you played the song on, and there can be some premium NFTs. So you have the first guitar, or you have the first version of the lyrics which maybe Lata Mangeshkar had written at the time, and that is very priced at a higher price. And then you have the generic NFTs which the masses buy. So that really again the same concept of taking power away from kind of centralized bodies and giving it to the 99%. So giving the power back to the creators who should have that. So that I think is a very beautiful thing, and one of the other things which NFT release, and then it opens up doors to monetize a lot of those other things. So for example, like even if a film doesn't do well, moments of that can be kind of monetized. Similarly, even if a song doesn't do well, or any creative thing, like in India, for example, if you go, there are a lot of rural kind of creative singers, right? Again, right now the penetration is not that deep, they don't understand, but if they can leverage NFTs to directly connect, I think it would be a great way to, for them to make money, for users to learn about new artists. And then one final thing is, on top of this NFT, then a whole infrastructure layer can be built. So you can have like NFT kind of, we have like, on the Algorand chain, we have a thing called King DAO, which is like a DAO where you can figure out, okay, this NFT, what is the best place to buy it, and then what is the best price you need to buy it. So there's a price discovery function also, like how much should you pay? Should you, for example, was that Beatles first 5,000 days really worth 69 million? So that price discovery also is built in. So yes, the bubble has burst. I think right now, it's actually a good thing that true entrepreneurs, true projects will really shine out. But as a power, I think NFTs have a huge power to unlock.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, noticed on the NFT online. The problem you got to go is a lot more compared to being a canvas studio. So you have to put your money before, get your NFT t-shirt, come sit here and stay unbiased when you're asking questions, right? So that means I actually mean the what do you expect as the next phase of cooperation from the government around Web3 blockchain communities? I mentioned you have blockchain district in the past. Now you have T-Hub phase 2. Do you see these initiatives getting integrated in some shape or form? Do you see a lot more push towards Web3 and blockchain coming? Because when we released blockchain district last time, I think Indian regulations around blockchain, Web3 and crypto were quite shaky, but you still went ahead with the support system at that point. So how are you looking at the next phase now that there's a cultural transformation in India, but you're not looking at this as a completely unregulated ecosystem? Doesn't necessarily mean there are great regulations today, but what is your take on, how do you see the next phase of adoption coming to Web3, and what is the support system you're looking?
Like one is we leverage these technologies to solve problems within the government, where we implement projects, use cases, and the solutions we procure from the startup community, who are like, for example, currently we are actually developing already developed, I would say, e-voting application. You can actually vote, you and I, maybe down the line, a couple of months later, can vote using a smartphone. It's Web3 technologies again, where we are using AI, to authenticate an individual, whether a person who is voting is, is he the person who is watching for, authentication, a three-factor authentication we are using. And the second is actually, once somebody casts a vote, it has to be secure. So we are using distributed ledger technology, DLT, to store those votes. So these kind of projects, this is a flagship project that we're actually very passionate about. We are proud of this project. In fact, just as we speak, we actually got a phone call from Bihar government asking us to help them implement this e-voting project. In fact, we have conducted dry run, last month in Khammam district. And the users were very happy, with the features, very easy to use, in fact. So the point is, government would be engaging startups and the community that's going to develop the solution. That's one. Second, we are actually running accelerators. A year back, it's again under the blockchain district, as you mentioned, we formed, for every technology, we come out with what you call, center of excellences or institutions that actually execute our framework. So for blockchain, we actually conceptualize what you call the blockchain district, and we have partners from academia, the District IT Hyderabad, Industry Tech Mahindra, and another government organization, CDAC. So under the ambit of the blockchain, we actually implement all the initiatives. So one is leveraging technology for government use cases or problem statements. Second one is, as I said, we are developing the ecosystem, by way of the number of ways that we are doing it. One is we are actually, a year back, we have started what you call a T-Hub accelerator, where we have incubated out of around 150 or so startups that have applied for. 8 startups were finalized, and all the services are provided. Currently, we are partnering with Lumos Labs and CoinSwitch. Mr. Venkatesh is here, from CoinSwitch. So this is another accelerator, India Blockchain Accelerator, and we got huge response for this. Around 270 startups from various domains, various sectors have applied for it, and we have shortlisted for about 14 startups, in different domains such as healthcare, education, entertainment, and so on. And for these startups that again have a solution that fits to the government requirements, we are giving them an opportunity to pilot their project within various departments. So this is the kind of support that the government is actually providing to the industry. And the third one, we are also keen on developing the community, blockchain community. We already have 2 communities here in Hyderabad. One is the Hyperledger community, which has more than around, I think, more than 1,000 members or so, much more than that. There is another one, Decentrum community, because at the end of the day, unless you have the talent, especially for blockchain, you'll not be able to sustain whatever that you are actually taken up.
No, definitely. I'm actually a living testimonial of that. It's great to see the government first acting like a startup, innovating on the solutions of e-voting, etc. And it's also fantastic to see the support. This panel is also another testimony for that, right? We've literally formed and announced this panel like a week before the summit. So this is also to see and emphasize the support we have, and the government is willing to put behind Web3 and blockchain. This ecosystem, especially from a build first approach, is very exciting. Since Ravi said we are friends, I'm going to ask Vikram before him. Vikram, I think we are running out of time, so we'll talk about what are your top predictions about Web3. What are you seeing could happen over the next couple of
creator tokenizing for the consumer, which could be time and attention. So practically, a lot of people who are intermediaries and playing more role will kind of move out, which means more value to the user. It kind of replaces the user, and you can call it as the fans first culture. And for the creator, it's more value creation, because you will own the IP rights. You don't need to give it out to the middleman. You will actually start earning more royalties. So number one is more incentives for participants. I think what is also going to change the dynamics in terms of ownership is there's a new ownership structure coming up. I think Amit touched upon that as well. But what is really essential over here is it's not going to really matter if you want to play a game, which is your game only, and trying to own everything, trying to own data, trying to own monetization of that data. Everybody says, data is oil, data is king. That's not going to work. Nobody's going to be happy to share data. It's all transparent. That's what blockchain will turn the game. So in terms of ownership, if you're contributing, you get the ownership directly. You don't need to keep working, and then imagine what's the output of it. And this is going to change the models and disrupt the models of marketing, because you have early contributors, they're actually your marketing heads. You don't need to start a marketing department. If you want a bunch of people to actually write code in terms of how the platform progresses for various use cases, you don't need to recruit those developers. They will actually show the way how these highways are going to give way to transactions. So that's going to be new incentives, there's going to be new ownership across every industry, right? And then there are going to be new monetization models. So just imagine the disruption which is coming in. A, the middleman and out. B, the creator and the user is adding value. But when you start saying that there are new monetization models from day one. So let me give a simple example, right? Since there was Rana just before us in the inauguration here, let's take the example of movies. You take a movie, you start marketing it. What happens? Nothing has changed, right? There are trailers, the trailers have just got more visual effects. There has been a poster, the poster has become a motion poster. Nothing has changed. Web3 will change this. Why do you need to launch a movie like this? A movie marketing needs zero budgets and crores are being spent today. So you start a community. When you're launching the project, you know what it is. Let the scriptwriter, director, actor come together, create NFTs. And I'm not talking about artwork in NFTs here. We're talking about utility. So you launch an NFT, let there be early contributors. That community which is formed is going to actually see the marketing for everything, even when the shoot is happening, when the movie is releasing, so on and so forth. So you get NFT rights. If you do justice to those in terms of utilities, and you can build in utilities, right? So there could be meet and greet virtually, there could be, watch the movie, go to the shoots, go and, kind of look at behind the scenes. So you'll be part of that journey along that 12-month period, and then you reap the benefits because you are kind of the marketing head. You are kind of, participating in art. You are trying to make this much more successful by getting more in the box office. So Web3 really changed the way even things are launched, and it's just one industry. It's going to hit every single industry in terms of how commerce is going to get done.
Yeah, definitely. It is a revolution in its own way, right? Not being able to own either your data or the assets you deserve to own is in my opinion, it's one form of oppression as well. But I think that's going to change as we see more and more adoption to Web3. And Rahul, quick prediction from you. As a VC in this space, what would you like to see from the startups? What are the kind of startups you're bullish about in the Web3 domain?
Well, as a VC and as a builder, both, so one exact answer and one philosophical one. So if you actually look at what's happening now from the disruption hypothesis, you have three elements. You have customers, you have organizations, institutions, startups, businesses, and then you have regulators and governments. If you look at almost every sector, right from aerospace, airlines to insurance and everything in between, at least two elements are unhappy. Okay, so for any architecture or any businesses which you build. First is consensus. There is a lot of scope in transparency. We come from a community of builders, right, where we promise transparency. I think that's the area where legitimacy protocols, which are related to legitimacy and all this stuff, anyone who writes it, I think that's a huge opportunity. That's first. Second one, smart contracts. I think within a chain, smart contracts has been solved. Multi-chain still a problem. Oracles and tons of JavaScripts. So for the first one, I think multi-billion-dollar companies will be created. For the second one, I think SME sectors, will boom if they get into that. Third one is the transaction per se. How do you provide, integrated to that particular transaction? I think a lot of IT services players, existing one and new ones, will upgrade themselves. So that's a transformation game, not a disruption game per se. And the last one is events, okay, which is broken today, okay. The cost of compute is very high. Race conditions happen all the way in the nodes. Performance is a huge issue. So that one, I think $1 trillion economy is open for that. So that's the exact answer, specifically who are building and who are creating companies out of Web3.
Yeah, before I go, the $1 billion question, when consumer adoption to Web3? When do you see mainstream users coming into the space?
Look, it's already happening. It's already happening. When it will come, when we will make it mainstream. I think we have made it. The idea was to simplify everything, and we have somehow during this journey, and people like me are supposed to be made for. Yeah, I think now there's a journey, and we are in those kind of times where we are questioning ourselves. I think we need to simplify that. I think mainstream user base exists and they're interested in this, right from citizen services to crypto. It's just complex today for normal. So that's an answer. Simplicity is something, and different kind of companies will come. We are doing a great job in terms of simplifying. That's the core of your current existence. So
Yeah, definitely. I think I wouldn't see any other way we would have come so far because we were building infrastructure. We had to go the complex route, but I think the challenge for entrepreneurs in this decade is to how do you abstract the complexity of infrastructure we built in the last decade or so. With that, we will conclude this today's panel on demystifying Web3 and working metaverse. And I have one more interesting announcement to make. So this is, as I mentioned, this is one of the Genesis panel discussions around a vibrant Web3 community which we're looking to create and begin to have as part of phase 2 ecosystem, as we have some fantastic startups, engineers and corporates who are willing to back this. Stay tuned to, so somebody in the community actually felt if you want to build a Web3 community, you need to build like one and act like one. So we've actually got inspired from that, and we're dropping regular NFTs today, around six-ish, let's say. And these utility NFTs can be accessed through our Discord. We've started a Discord server for Web3. So the NFT works. For now, the utility is if you have this NFT, you get to be part of our Discord, or you get kicked down after a year if you don't have this NFT. And then we're bootstrapping utility into that NFT scene. We collect a bunch of these NFTs, you get free access to certain sessions which are gated. That means you can only attend if you have this NFT. And as we build out more and more use cases, we get to create an audit trail of an individual in the community, right? So let's say I'm an engineer and I participate in a bunch of hackathons, a bunch of my sessions. The audit trail of my NFTs get added to my identity. And the biggest challenge to enable remote work or remote access or even funding, because Web3 is more remote first, we felt as a community it makes sense to authenticate few of them, as it's quite hard for people from another ecosystem to authenticate who is a good engineer, who is a good entrepreneur. When I mean good, it's quite relative, but at least to understand who's an experienced one and who's not. Can be solved through this use case, and as we gain more and more community, we'll start bootstrapping use cases into these NFTs. So stay tuned for that NFT drop. We're going to announce live on our GitHub social channels.
Ladies and gentlemen, I request you to please put your hands together for the first panelist. Our moderator, Mr. Santosh, is handing over the first token of gratitude for Srimati Ramadevi Lanka. And a request to present the token of gratitude for Mr. Vikram Tana, the COO of Enzalo, ex-Finite Global PLC. And presenting the token of gratitude on behalf of TUP to Mr. Ravinder Singh, the partner of Kalari Capital. And presenting to Mr. Amit Mehra, the general partner, Borderless Capital. I'd like to present a token of gratitude for the moderator, the session chair, Mr. Santosh. Can we go for the central here? One photo up with all the eminent speakers. Sir, can we have one photo up with all the speakers? What an auspicious day it is. We have successfully completed the first panel, which was about demystifying Web 3.0 and Metaverse. The first panel is about Internet Web 3.0, demystifying Web 3.0 and Metaverse. We all know that we are transiting into the era of Internet that is opening up opportunities for all the entrepreneurs and creating potential to enterprise a lot of other activities that we can never imagine. And it is also opening up avenues for all the entrepreneurs. Also guys, we are going to discuss about Metaverse. To me, according to my understanding, what Metaverse is, it is a space that can make an introvert more expressive and collaborative, although in virtual space. So yes, to take us into the further insights of demystifying Web 3.0 and Metaverse, I'd like to first call upon the moderator, the session chair. May I call upon Mr. Santosh Yelajosla, the founder of Autonomy and Chief Ecosystem Officer. Hearty welcome, sir, and Exfinite to moderate the session and drive us through the metaverse. Hello, sir. Hearty welcome to you.
Good morning. Glad to have everyone here, and I have a very nice panel. So, for betterment of the community, I ensured none of my panelists got their questions beforehand. So, let's start with introducing the panel we have here. So, I'm glad to have Rama Devi here representing the government. She has been doing fantastic work in backing emerging technologies in the state. Glad to have that representation and the perspective brought into this panel. Then we have Vikram. Vikram is running Exfinite. Exfinite is a decentralized entertainment ecosystem. So a Web2 leader in the past. He was doing fantastic work in media and entertainment and moved to blockchain and Web3. So would love to know his perspective as well. We have Ravi. Ravi has been backing a lot of Web3 blockchain startups through Kalari. He has done fantastic work in enterprises beforehand. So would love to hear his perspective on what he's expecting from startups and where he looks at opportunities in this space. And then we have Amit, who's a very crypto native investor. So I'll not hesitate to use the word crypto in this panel. So he's backed projects like Algorand and a lot of early. All of them are sometimes used quite synonymously, probably because the community is shared at this point. So I would love to understand your perspective on it. Just help us understand what is blockchain, what is crypto, and how did this all start?
Sure. Happy to. So I can give like a quick perspective. So what's the difference between Web 2 and Web 3, at the very basic? So Web 2 is what started in 1995, 1996 with, the internet, so companies like Yahoo, Google, Netscape and all that. And then as Web 2 evolved, you came, so the internet, the infrastructure, the infrastructure came, so a lot of infrastructure companies, then on top applications came. So applications like Uber, Swiggy, Ola and so on. And the core concept there is you have, for example, you are ordering a cab from Ola. So you want to ride, you are a rider and the driver is driving. And so why should a third company like Ola take 20%, you know? So that's the whole concept of decentralization. So right now, all these companies are centralized. Even for example, the monetary policy, right? It's controlled by the government. And so the whole concept of Web3 is you take, kind of the centralized parties away and you give power to the community. So, imagine a world where you can connect with the driver directly without having to give 20%, kind of to a third party who is doing that. So that's the whole idea of the basis of decentralization. And the whole idea there is that every project there, true decentralized projects, they would be governed by community. So there is this concept called DAOs, decentralized autonomous organizations, and the idea is you have community members voting and they take part in the governance and decide the future of everything that should be built, all the new opportunities that should come on and so on. So that's at a very high level the new web where the power is taken away from. So if you see this whole concept of 1% and 99%, so it takes power away from the 1% and gives it to the 99%. And metaverse is one thing in there where you kind of, you create a virtual universe where everything which is out there, like you can have a metaverse where entire T-Hub is on the metaverse, and then you can have brands come in and advertise, and you can go in and play. And right now, for example, I think Dilen Mendi, he bought like a very good huge land on metaverse. So like that, you have people can go and buy their lands and stuff. So right now, a lot of those metaverses, Decentraland and so on, they are selling lands and people are buying land, and then on top of it, brands will come and partner and build on top of it.
Thank you, Amit. Am I audible?
Yeah, thank you, Amit. So I'll also try to just summarize a little bit. So you're telling me in Web2 we had centralized companies, and those business models could be replaced by community-owned platforms and networks, right? And that's a very exciting approach, right? So every business model you see today in Web2 is up for disruption as we move from Web2 to Web3. And since Amit brought up the concept of governance and DAOs, etc., I'll actually move on to Ramadevi, ma'am, because you've been doing great work around e-governance, open governance in the past, and that's how you also became the advocate of how Telangana government will deal with exponential technologies. So talk us a little bit about your work in the e-government space, and then how, as somebody working in blockchain, Web3 myself, I have always had that itching question: how does government folks think about all of this? Does it threaten you that there's a technology which is going to disrupt you out and right, or do you feel there's an opportunity to embrace new change?
Am I audible? Hello? Yeah, thank you, Santosh. Am I audible, please? Yeah? Thank you. Well, I would like to clarify one thing. I'm not working in e-governance. While e-governance is a separate vertical within the government, which looks into, technologies that are conventional, traditional one. So the question that you asked is how did the government actually think of doing all this, The answer is, it goes back to our policies, In 2014, we brought out our first policy wherein we indicated that Telangana would like to be a leader in emerging technologies. Then we came out with another policy just last year, 21, which reiterates the same, taking an extension of that. So that is the genesis for Telangana state to actually, embrace these new technologies. And the way it happens is, while the vision is set by the policy, we actually, identify technologies that actually create impact, that solve problems for the government. For example, if you look at the blockchain per se, the benefits, top 3 benefits that I would be looking at is security, transparency, and third is traceability. These 3 characteristics of blockchain or benefits of blockchain solve certain problems for the government. So around these, we have identified different use cases ranging from land records to certificates to, microfinance. today we are actually doing about a dozen projects or more, but 3 key projects that we're passionate about, I would like to share more details on that, probably now or later, Santosh.
Thank you, ma'am. So I think that was useful, and I think Telangana government was always proactive about blockchain. You had a blockchain district way before Web3 became really big in India, right? So that was quite commendable. Excited to see what can come out of T-Hub and Web3 and some of this community participation moving forward. Would love to move on to, I'm still thinking between Vikram and Ravi, who do I rather? But somehow I prefer asking investors questions because I'm always on the other side, right? So let me ask Ravi, what is your journey to Web3 and why do you look at Web3 startups? Can you give us like an overview of this market segment? What are you seeing as Web3 startups coming out of India and also your story to Web3?
Is it working? I thought we were friends, Santosh. Look, I'm a developer. I write code and I build machines, okay? Venture capitalism is just 2 years old journey. So he's just teasing because of karmas of past, which we'll not go through. Look, 14 years back, roughly about 14 years back, when I first wrote my code, Santosh, it was based on a very simple principle. It was based on a principle of distributed computing because I kind of made a statement that cloud is legacy. Cloud can, as a computing platform, cloud can only go to an extent where it can lower the cost of compute, but it will not be able to reach the scale of citizen services or create an economy and anything in between. So that was the whole idea. Also, second thing, my passion or why have I been, because never in the history of computer science per se, this is the first time, and anyone who is investing or creating a startup or writing a code, so the first time in the history of computing, we have economics and tech interwoven in the same stub of code. Never ever happened in the history of compute. So that's the huge opportunity. I'm glad we are not talking only about things which are crypto, and crypto is one use case, but we are also talking about e-governance, citizen services, which may be the far bigger use cases. What has been my journey? I think transparency within a chain has been solved, and I think we should appreciate that, and we should create multiple use cases of it. I think multi-chain is still a gold mine. Anyone who solves it will be able to create large companies, and investors should seriously think about that. Use cases beyond financial services will appear. Lending is broken because of people like you and me who should have done a better job than creating words like centralized DeFi and all this stuff. That's a huge opportunity, microfinance of that. So these are the opportunities.
I'll ask them to just look at the cards. So I'll just stop. Yeah.
Did I answer your question? Yeah, like you are there, you are always on-chain or having it fully digitally. This is truly revolutionary, right? And since we brought up economics and we didn't touch base on that, I'd like to zoom into Web3 native economics and how these X2O models, etc. are building up. Because we are running one of the blockchain learning platforms called Xfinite. Can you tell us a little bit about what Xfinite does and how you foresee Web3 actually changing these business models? Because you were in media before and you're now building the future media and entertainment on the blockchain. So talk us a little bit about what's going on in your mind about all of this space.
As we speak, everything is transitory, right? Everybody's experimenting and figuring out what's going to happen. We've tasted some successes, but I primarily believe the fundamentals of any business, any consumer, any creator doesn't change, and the primary objective are the 3 C's over there, right? So you will always see that content with specific experiences targeted to the users, which is the consumer, will drive commerce. So I'm a firm believer of content drives commerce in any economy. And what we've seen over a period of time is that these threes will always remain, but the interaction or the touch points which technology will drive, like Ravi said, economics, involvement, etc. There are many variables over there. So if you look at content, content is really changing in a large way, whether it's video streaming, whether it's gaming, there's far more interaction, there's far more gamification. You cannot just keep bleeding and marketing and acquiring users, but you need to actually build a community who will grow the community itself. So that's where the second C comes in, right? If you're creating content for the community, is there an instant gratification? Is there a reward? What are you doing to get them to build word of mouth? And that's really the essence of decentralization, Web3. When it comes to consumers, the age-old saying, you talk to FMCG companies, not even digital companies, they'll say consumer is king. That doesn't change today. Because if the consumer is right at the epicenter, government has done a lot in terms of payment infrastructure, digital identification, and this really kind of lays the highway of changing the way the consumer is going to work with the content. And hence, when we speak about the transformation from Web 1.0 to 2.0 to 3.0, what I've really seen in this journey is 1.0 was search, right? In just like putting it as one word. 2.0 is social, so there's like a peer-to-peer interaction happening, both of them through machines, right? Machines are there, it's constant. And 3.0 is actually security through the various infrastructures that we have, which is changing search, social it remains, but now there is social commerce. And that's very, very essential in terms of how the consumer is going to go through peer-to-peer transactions and how blockchain is going to securitize this whole thing. And then, of course, content drives commerce and a few things which we are doing at Xfinite right now, which is going to kind of shift the Web2 experience for the consumer and actually land them very, very slowly and gradually in Web3. We don't want to talk to people saying, hey, you are crypto native, hey, do you understand this? We kind of, walk them from an entertainment experience in Web2. So what we primarily do in terms of commerce is, hey, there is video streaming happening, content drives commerce, you can go and buy NFTs of that piece of content. And if you see in movies, dialogues are more famous than the movie itself. After 2 years, you remember them. So it's really moments which are bigger than the actual film or the actual piece of original series. And that's how, NFTs will come in. You can do content drives commerce, even by connecting straight the creator along with the consumer, where you say, hey, there is opportunity for crowdsourcing, because Web 3.0 is actually saying there's exchange not just for information, but for value, and how we all together work as an economy and drive more value for the consumer is really going to change the way in terms of how we build it.
Yeah, definitely. And since you brought up NFTs, and actually, as I said, I have a fantastic panel, right? There's anyone you will do the next question, one after another, just like we collaborated. But I jump on to Amit again. Amit, looking at NFTs, we've seen
So I think lovely discussions. I think love the concept of economics and coding kind of coming together, and how Vikram described it as dialects becoming and specific moments being more valuable than the entire thing. So just building on top, I think another thing which NFTs are very important in, what happens, for example, in iTunes, when a creator releases a song, there are so many creators who release a song, they don't get paid for 3 months, 6 months, even years. And that too, for each download, they get 99 cents, of which Apple takes 30 cents. So they get 70 cents. So, and the payment also is happening after they hit a threshold and stuff. So it's, the creators are not kind of making money. The people who are actually creating are not making money. So one of the other things that NFTs unleashes, as a creator, you can actually directly release, kind of your songs as an NFT, the memorabilia. So for example, the script which you were writing at that time, or the guitar which you played the song on, And there can be some premium NFTs, so you have the first guitar or you have the first version of the lyrics which maybe Lata Mangeshkar had written at the time, and that is very priced at a higher price, and then you have the generic NFTs which the masses buy. So that really again the same concept of taking power away from kind of centralized bodies and giving it to the 99%. So giving the power back to the creators who should have that. So that I think is a very beautiful thing, and one of the other things which NFT release, and then it opens up doors to monetize a lot of those other things. So for example, like even if a film doesn't do well, which moments of that can be kind of monetized. Similarly, even if a song doesn't do well or any creative thing, like in India, for example, if you go, there are a lot of rural kind of creative singers, right? Again, right now the penetration is not that deep, they don't understand, but if they can leverage NFTs to directly connect, I think it would be a great way to, for them to make money, for users to learn about new artists. And then one final thing is, on top of this NFT, then a whole infrastructure layer can